Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. Today I'm going to be doing something just a little bit different, and I'm going to share with you how I use the elements from this scrapbook layout to create a card. Now every month I participate in a scrapbooking blog hop, and as part of my design, I always include a card that I've made using some of the elements from my scrapbook page, because I recognize that not everybody is into scrapbooking, but they might like some of the ideas. So this video today, I'm actually going to work my way through the design. I've obviously got some elements that I need to incorporate in order for it to if you like, follow on from the scrapbook page, but at the moment I'm not entirely sure how all the bits are going to come together. So as you can see, this was my scrapbook page and the theme was spring. So I have spring has sprung, and then I've got a little journaling panel underneath there, and then eventually my pictures will go here. And I focused on the Easter Bunny stamp set, and as well as these pieces were made using the Alphabest stamp set. Now I've decided that I won't use that stamp set on my card. I'm just going to focus on using this one with its coordinating punch here. And I have a cute technique to share with you as we move on. Now the paper I'm using, this is what's left of it, is from Rain and Shine, and that's in the January to April 2023 mini catalogue, and it's got these lovely daisies, which is perfect spring theme as far as I'm concerned, and bunnies always remind me of spring and Easter and all those good things. So I'm going to start with a card base, and this is So Saffron, same color as I've used on the bases of my scrapbook page, and I'm going to do just a simple gatefold. So this measures, and I'm just looking for my I can't see it, I'll use a spoon instead. This measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it 2 1/8 from each end. So I scored it that side, turned it round and scored it that side, and then they nicely meet in the middle. I then got some of the decorative paper I was just showing you, and I'm not sure, I think it goes this way, yeah, and I've cut these two panels, and I think I need to trim this one down slightly. It's a little bit on the large side. I wasn't concentrating, I guess, when I did that bit. So these are 1 7/8, these panels. Looks like I cut it to 2. So we just slip that piece off there like that, and that should fit nicely. Pop that back up out the way. And then I think it goes this way. And the only reason I'm saying that is that these flowers join together, and I just thought it'd be fun to keep them to the side like that. So I'm just going to go ahead straight away and attach those with a little liquid adhesive. And as I go along, I'll try and sort of point out how my pieces are coming to, my elements are coming from the scrapbook sheet. I like to show people that the Stampin' Up! Products will work beautifully for both card making as well as scrapbooking. And those of you who follow me know that I also use a lot of the products to do 3D items and home decor treats and things like that. So there's my front piece, and that kind of takes in those two panels either side here. And then I need a piece inside. This is going to be the piece that I'm going to write "To You, Love from Me" on. And I thought that it would be nice to carry the theme through and just do a little of the daisy paper there. So this measures 4 by 3/4. Now I'm sharing dimensions with you, but you don't need to write them down or try and keep up with me to write them down. If you look below the video down here, you'll see that there is a link to my blog. And if you click on that, it will take you to the exact post, the exact card that ties in with this video. So you haven't got to sort of hunt and peck and look around for it. There's just a tiny little bit of trimming there. And then I wonder if I should stamp. How about stamping "You Are a Friend Like No Other"? That looks a good one to put in. "You're a friend like no other." There we go. Let's pull a block. Now, the ink colours I used on my scrapbook page were So Saffron and Early Espresso. I even used the Early Espresso to create the grass on the bottom here. I didn't worry about using green or anything. And I'm thinking again to bring in the design, maybe I will put a little bit of grass on the bottom here and here, so that gives a little bit of interest there. Maybe I'll just put a tiny little bit there just to close that. And I can see that I've got a little bit there, and I just don't want a little gap. So I'm going to put a little bit of masking tape just there. And put that last little bit in. Yeah, I'm happy now. And then I'm just going to pop my greeting, and rather than try and center it and make it level and fretting over it, I am just going to pop it in that top corner at an angle, and then it's done. Right. So I've got my grass element coming in, and I've got my daisy paper. And let's just make sure that that's, and there's my piece. So now we've got this here, and our card is coming along beautifully. Right. Now the other colour that I used in my scrapbook page was this. Now this is Balmy Blue, and so my journaling patch I also did here in Balmy Blue with some white on it there. So this piece I'm going to pop across here, and this piece I'm going to pop across there. And so there's another stamp in here that I like. That is, it says "It's a New Day." And I am going to add that using the Early Espresso ink, and I'm gonna get that stamped. I'm going to stamp it over to one side, and I need to see what I'm doing. I'm going to pop it on here because it's not clear. It's not easy to see the edge of the paper on when it's white on white. There we go. It's a new day. And I'm going to attach this to my blue piece. Like that. Now I'm wondering whether or not I should have put some grass along there. Let's think. I'll hold on to that thought. So there we've got our front panel there like this. And so now we need our focal points. I'm going to be using this this bunny as my focal point. And if you look, I've got two bunnies, one either side here like this. Now in the stamp set, there's only one of these bunnies, and he's looking to the right. This one I've got looking to the left. And so I'm going to explain to you how I used the same stamp to create a left and a right looking bunny. Right. Now for this, I'm going to need my stamp apparatus. Now I've already created the right looking bunny, and to save time I've got him coloured in, and I've used the ivory and the bronze stamping blends to do that. And so now what I'm going to do is just pull this up. I think I'm going to need to use another magnet to make sure that nothing moves. So what I have done here is I've got my stamp apparatus, and I've got my thick mat here, and that's because the photopolymer stamps are quite thin, and you need it to be lifted off of the platform slightly. I've then got one of the silicone mats here, and I've made sure it's pushed up in this top corner, and then I've got a piece of cardstock, and you can already see that there was my original bunny. So I'm going to hold this down, make sure it's not going anywhere. And I've got my stamp on there, so all I did was take the bunny, position it where I wanted to on my piece of cardstock, like that. And I want to try and keep it away from the hinges because it kind of lifts up a little bit at that point. So I'm just going to bring this down and just pick up the stamp. And the first thing I'm going to do is ink it up. And stamp. And just make sure I push down firmly to get plenty of ink. And if I turn it round, you'll see that I have got a right facing bunny. And that's what we wanted. And so the next step is we're going to remove the piece of paper, but we're going to leave the silicone mat down on the platform. And this time I'm going to ink up, and I'm going to ink onto the platform here. And again, I want to press really firm to make sure I get my ink transfer, which I have. And I'm going to do a second pass. I'm going to put another layer of ink down. And then I'm going to bring my piece of card in, and I'm going to put it exactly where it was over the piece I've stamped, and I'm going to stamp it down again. I didn't need to re-ink it because I am not getting, I don't want any more ink on this side. And so when I push it over, can you see how now I've got a left facing bunny? Now, you may wonder, well, why did we stamp it on the other side? And I can see it's moved, and I'm going to have to actually, it shouldn't have moved, but I'm going to actually have to work it out. Because the bunny punch is still right facing, if we have this on the back, when we come to cut it out, it should be in the right place. So let me just do this. I think maybe, let's see. See if I can see through. Okay. I'm going to be using that inside one. Now, if it had worked out correctly, this would have all lined up and I would have just been able to punch it out. But it didn't, so I'm not going to freak out. If this doesn't work, we'll try again. So there, our bunny is perfectly cut out. And now I have a right and a left facing bunny. So it was just a tiny bit off, but I was able to find that through. But you get the idea. So this is known as reverse stamping or reflection stamping. And it's a super technique when you want to have two things like that facing one another. And then I'm just going to colour him in, or her, I'm not quite sure what it is, him or her at this time. So I've got my Stampin' Blends, and I'm just going to do his little tail. Now, when I first started using my Stampin' Blends, I always used to use the brush end, and I found that it was hard to control where the ink went, and the brush end is very soft, and the fibers would start to break down after a little while, particularly if I wasn't careful. Then I decided I would use the bullet end. So that's the end with the little thin line on it. And I found that I got far better control over the ink than by using the other end. So that's all I've done since then, is use the bullet end, and I've been so much happier with the results of my colouring. All right, so and I tend to kind of use a bit of a sweeping motion up against the lines, and then more of that sort of motion when I'm colouring in large parts. So I've done quite a lot of videos on stamping blends and using the Stamparatus, and you can go onto my YouTube channel and find those. Lots of little techniques, hints and tips that I'm sharing as a result of, if you like, my me practicing with them and learning how to use them. And I've shared the practices so you can see me sort of developing my skills. And now that I've done that, I'm just going to go back over with the pale one, the ivory one, and just sort of blend in a little bit of this. But I think that there's a little bit of texture in this. It's not perfectly smooth, and it does remind me a little bit of fur. All right, so there we have our bunnies, and you will see that it does bleed through to the back. And so whenever you use your stamping blends, always make sure that whatever you've covered, you're gonna put onto something so that this bit won't show. Oh, what's that? Okay, so there's our bunnies, and I'm gonna be popping them like this. So I'm thinking I'm going to need some grass. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. So let's put some grass down, because they're looking like they're floating in air. Not so good. And just use another tiny bit more for masking up that side piece. There we are. There, I think that's good. Yes, I think that's better. So let's pop this down. So I only need to attach it to one side. So we're going to use some dimensionals, and I'm going to center this up, top and bottom and side to side. There we go. And then our little guys are going to go here. And I want to put them, oh, where's the other one gone? There he is. So I want to put them so that their little butts, little bottoms there are just kind of hanging over. So we'll just put some stamping dimensionals down, 1 and 1. I don't want to have them too close to their little tails, because otherwise they might stick out. So if I put, let me put this one down first. Like that. Now ideally they would be nose to nose, but I haven't got enough room, so we're just going to pop them like this. And then I'm going to add a bit of a bow to one of them, because that's picking up the elements from the other card. So this is the Balmy Blue again, and we'll just leave that like that for a few minutes just to dry. That should be enough. That's just my crinkle ribbon. And then these are in the on the scrapbook page as well, and these are called Loose Daisy Embellishments. And I'm just going to put a few around the neck here. So let's pick up some yellow ones and maybe a white one, and then a yellow one, I think that's going to be enough. Like that. Oh, and then we'll just finish off. Let me just clear myself up a little bit so that we can see what we can see. And so we're just going to put the tiniest of little bows around our little boy bunny. Come on, out you come. It's a little loop just there. Okay, there's my little bow. Like that. Don't want it very big. I don't want it to swamp him. And we just trim that off. And there's a tiny little bit of white still showing, so we're just gonna fill that and stick that onto a glue dot. And put it on our little guy here. All right, so there we are. That is what we've ended up with. I've managed to get some adhesive on my thing. Let's just bring back the scrapbook layout again, and then the card. And you can see how we have taken the little bunnies, the one looking toward themselves. These pieces of paper here, we've got grass going on, and we've got some of these little embellishments, and then we've got our finished card. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. This is a slightly new one for me. Normally on my lives I take a subject and run with it with just like a little bit of thought. I haven't actually done it with one of my regular videos, and certainly not with one of my sort of scrapbook inspired cards. But as I say, I do hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, go ahead, give me a thumbs up. Remember that lovely technique, the reverse or reflection stamping. And if you don't already subscribe, perhaps you'll do that. And if you've any questions or comments, I'd love to read them in the box below. Well, thank you once again for spending time with me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye for now.